ospite di queste conversazioni che è Dinh che è accanto a me. Welcome, Dean. It's very beautiful to have you here, and thank you for sharing your work with the audience tonight. I'm going to do a brief introduction in Italian, and then the conversation will be in English. The public just finished the conference, so the public is arriving slowly, is joining. Siamo nella sala 36 dove è presente la grande installazione dell'artista vietnamita Dinh Lee, Light and Belief, Voices and Sketches of Life from the Vietnam War. Un'opera che è stata presentata in occasione di Documenta 13 a Kassel nel 2012 e che affronta la guerra del Vietnam o seconda guerra di Indocina o American War, questo a seconda dei contesti, dei diversi contesti geografici dove viene chiamata. Un conflitto che dura dal 1955 fino alla conquista di Saigon da parte del Vietnam del Nord nel 1975. La pratica di Dinh Lee cerca di conciliare la sua educazione americana con le sue radici vietnamite, affrontando proprio i temi dell'esodo, della memoria e dell'identità dei popoli costretti a migrare. Infatti Dinh Lee è proprio tra gli artisti che lasciano il Vietnam del Sud dopo la presa di Saigon nel 1975, quindi dopo l'unificazione nel luglio del 76, ed giunge negli Stati Uniti con i Boat People alla fine degli anni 70. In mostra questo video, quest'opera consiste in un video con documentazioni, interviste e animazioni e una serie di opere, sono in tutto 70 le pareti, che sono opere in acquerello, inchiostro su carta, disegni, matite, che dipingono, che raccontano la vita degli artisti del Vietnam del Nord, degli artisti Viet Cong, artisti soldato, che sono i disegni eseguiti da loro durante le pause nella guerra. Per cui il video da una parte indaga ciò che li motiva a non dipingere scene di guerra e intorno a noi una serie di disegni che ne approfondiscono le tematiche, una collezione che è dell'artista. So welcome again, Dean, thank you for your patience. So could you tell us about your work, Light and Belief, why you made it, and what it means to you, and how you started this practice of collecting drawings, watercolor, and gouache?
Here for them because I always thought that they were propaganda. Because, as you know, you see here, there's a lack of violence or suffering or death or destruction. And so, but then I went and met this artist for the first time, and I listened to what they said, and that started a really kind of interesting conversation. And that led to collecting the work. And so in 2011, when I met Carolyn, and she invited me to participate in Documenta, and I told her about this collection that I want to work with, because I felt that this artist never get a chance to kind of talk about their experience. And this was a great opportunity for me to share the platform with them, for them to have the platform to talk about what it means about their work and what it means to be in the middle of the war and being an artist at the same time. So that's how the whole process
Scusate, questa conversazione si tiene in lingua inglese, penso sia, se tutti riescono a seguirla è probabilmente meglio. Grazie. So, what do you think of the fact that these drawings are all pencil and paper or ink and watercolor on paper, while instead the American army was documenting the war with photographs? What do you think this difference highlights in terms of modality of representation, but also countries' ideologies?
I think that's a really interesting kind of point that you brought up. America, when they come to Vietnam, their belief in their technology might. They thought whether the camera, the helicopter, all this technology was going to win them the war. But they didn't realize that the war takes more than technology. And so, and you see this here in the way the artists from here kind of talk about the war, understand the war is a very kind of personal and emotional experience. It's not about technology, it's not about might, it's about this commitment to Vietnam and to each other. And you see it in the work, they don't document the war, they document about each other. They they draw portraits of each other, of the people they engage, while America was interested in a different kind of image. And as you mentioned, photography, perfect example, is really to document about the death and the suffering and destruction. Because that's what also, not only is about technology, but it's about market.
Spectacularization.
It's about a spectacle in order to sell the war to the general public. And that was a different. This drawing were not about for to sell the war. This drawing were for each other, for their friends, for people they met. So it's very different approach to documenting the war, to record
This particular work show the Viet Cong as a very normal, human, very kind daily life people, and so it doesn't describe at all, in fact, the war scene. So it actually supports a vision of the life of the North Vietnamese army and of the Viet Cong, not as a torturer, which is something that American narrative puts. So there is a stereotype history of the Vietnam War. What would you like to bring to the attention with these idyllic drawings which do not speak at all about war?
I think atrocity committed by everyone, both sides, during the war. Communist side as well as the American side as well as the South Indian side. And that's that's part of the war. And I think what this drawing showcased was there was an other side of war. And a kind of desire for some sort of normality because they have been at war for so long. Some of the artists in the show, they came into the war when they were 18. And by the time they were 30 years old, the war was still going on. So imagine how long their lives have been in the war. And so I think there's what you see is a kind of aspiration for some sort of normal life, or they try to capture those down moments. During the war, they're not always fighting. There's that gap between battles, and there's a long gap of nothing to do. And I think what we see in this drawing is document of those moments, the moment they actually cherish. They're not interested in, I think they cherish this moment because it's something that they hope one day will be not just, only a brief period of time, but will be peace for a long time.
So do you think that also art helped them to escape the reality of war?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the art helped them to escape that, but also to kind of a kind of building relationship between one another. Um, they sit and they draw their comrade or the people they run into as a way of exchanging this a kind of humanity that I think lacking so much during the war. That what they need.
I'm surprised also by the title that you have choose for this piece, because it's Light and Belief, which is again a title that has nothing to do with the war context. So it emerges that behind war are humans, and there are not winner or won. So for who are Light and Belief? Why this title?
Um, well, actually, it's based on the title of the drawing that in the movie. There's a mention of an artist who was shot blind,
Yes.
and then he did the drawing of Ho Chi Minh in blood, and he actually titled that drawing "Light and Belief." And so I always thought it was kind of interesting. This man who had gone blind, and he's talking about light. And in a way, in a war, in a kind of a darkness, in a very difficult time, and yet this artist able to find a light and a belief and to hang on to. And so I thought it was a really wonderful title.
It is actually, it is very much. So one last question, because this small talk program is very
Yeah.
quick. So are you interested in a form of empathy in your work between the artists that you have interviewed, involved in this work, or between them and us, the audience, or between the work and the audience?
Yes, I think I want the audience to understand the artist and their experience, to be able to experience a small part. Because I think for me, that was so important to change the way I think about their experience, about the war, and about what I make so much assumption about war. Uh, that I think we all make a lot of assumptions about war. And I think for me, it was important that we hear that in order to kind of be able to empathize with them a little bit more.
Thank you, Dean. It's been again a pleasure. Dean Chiuli, Light and Belief, this beautiful artwork che io invito il pubblico a venire a vedere e poter studiare con attenzione questi disegni e il video che l'accompagnano. Thank you again.